The PSP was a pretty capable portable device, and it's actually able today to run a lot of homebrew software and some emulators, and yeah, it's actually a pretty capable device. So let's see how we can take a PSP that has been gathering dust for a few years and jailbreak it and install some homebrew and emulators on it. Let's see how it's done. It's nice because you can, you know, change the battery with the modern one, which is nice. Mine died actually, so I had to replace it with a cheap one that I found on Amazon, and that works great. And it was a device that also had an optical disc reader. It had an almost SD card reader, almost, because Sony couldn't do anything properly at the time, and it's using its own proprietary memory stick format. But fortunately, you can buy for very cheap a little adapter that enables you to plug in your SD cards and plug that into the PSP, and it doesn't know that it's an SD card and not a memory stick, and everything works great. So let's turn the PSP on with that adapter. Okay, so the first thing it tells us is that it's not formatted. Fortunately, the PSP has the formatting utilities that we need built in, so we can just go to the system menu, go into format memory stick, and there you go. And then we'll be able to take that memory stick, put it on the computer, and use it like an ordinary SD card. Another option is to find an old mini USB cable, mini USB, not micro USB, plug it into your PSP on one side and into the computer on the other side. And there is a special option in the system menu that is USB connection that will make your PSP look like a USB drive from the computer. And here it is. You can see that's this drive here that is currently almost empty because it's our new SD card. And yeah, it has a number of folders that the PSP expects, and the most important one is PSP games. And it's in there that we are going to put the exploit that we are going to use to jailbreak the PSP, and games and emulators. So we can find, first thing we are going to do is update the firmware to the most recent one that Sony released. So that's 661. We can find that on archive.org, like many other things from the past. And we can download that, extract the archive, and get the file that comes with it and rename it eBoot, so that it's recognized as a PSP game. So you can leave the extension alone. But yeah, so currently the PSP is under 6.39, and we are going to upgrade it to 6.61. So the way we do that is system update via storage card, and it tells us that it found 661 on the SD card, and it's going to install that. So we're going to fast forward here, and there you go. Now we can, well, not quite done yet. We have to go through all the legalese stuff. So just go to the right. It's the usual PlayStation UI to update. You have to read the thing. Well, no, you don't have to read it, but yeah. So fast forwarding, this is installing, and almost done. There you go, and it's done. So now we can remove the update from the memory stick. We are done. So the console reboots, and we can verify in the system menu that we are indeed now running 661. So that's our first step. Bring the console up to a modern version of the system software, so that we can use the exploits. So the exploit is called Infinity, and this is you can look at the README and get some instructions. But what we're going to do is copy the software into PSP game, into a new folder, that we'll call update again, and we are going to put here the eboot file. And then we're going to go to the game. So we are loading it as a game. So basically you go to the game section of your PSP and find Infinity, run it, install it. And when the installation is complete, you can reboot. And now your system is 661 Infinite instead of just 661. The little Infinity thing shows here. So then you have a choice of custom firmware that you can install. You can install the Pro firmware, minimum edition, or you have a number of other possibilities. I'm installing the ME one, so I downloaded it, and as usual, we can go to PSP game, and we can paste the folder for the custom firmware, and then we can switch back to the PSP, and we are going to be able to install that thanks to the Infinity exploit that we installed before. So yeah, here I'm navigating into the folders that are downloaded for the system and copying that into PSP game. And then we can switch to the game section of the PlayStation, and we can again load Infinity and select the firmware that we want to install. There's a little star appearing next to it. Then we exit, and what we're going to do now is run the installation again from the game folder. We can run the update launcher, and this is what is going to properly install our custom firmware. So there is some command line stuff that's going to appear. Don't be frightened, this is normal. And once this is done, press X to start the update. Some more command line stuff. And if all goes well, we can go back to the system information, and now we have 661 ME23 Infinity, which is great. Now we can actually run anything. So I'm removing the memory stick here to show you that this update is permanent. Should be. So I cycled power for the PSP to start clean without the SD card, and we can go back to system settings and look at the system information, and we are still on 661 ME. So that's great. So now we can install Homebrew software. So there is a wide variety of Homebrew software. There are applications, games, ports of games. There is even a port of Portal, Half-Life, Duke Nukem, Doom, etc. So you can download the files for those and just run it. It's just now your PSP is unlocked, so it should be able to run it. So let's try it with Duke 3D, which I enjoyed a lot back when it came out. And again, we can copy the folder. Once we've extracted it, we can copy it and drop it into our PSP game folder, and it will just appear in the game section of the PSP. There it is. So let's run that. And there you go. Duke 3D on a PSP. That's pretty sweet. Let's try to see how it plays. So the controls are a little awkward. You strafe with the left and right shoulder buttons, and you advance and rotate using the analog stick. It's not the best controls you can have. It's a game that, to be frank, is best played on the PC, but it's really fun to see it run pretty flawlessly on the PSP. So that's pretty nice. I love it. It's pretty smooth. Let's play it until we find some pigs to shoot. If I remember correctly, you need to go shoot those canisters here and they will explode, and that will give you access to the next section. So yeah, it's square to shoot. There it is, exploded, and then you can drop in here and we are gonna get some aliens and stuff to shoot here. So yeah, it works pretty great. Okay, let's try an emulator now. So I'm going to install, so there is a lot of emulators. Basically any platform of note will have an emulator for the PSP, which is great. Not all of them run as smoothly, but yeah, can't complain really. So we're gonna install a Nintendo Game Boy Advance emulator, because it's the highest spec Nintendo console that doesn't have two screens, so it's pretty good for a PSP. So let's do that. Let's find the right emulator. So yeah, you have computers, you have, yeah, lots and lots of things. But let's find the Game Boy Advance one. So it's called GPSP, and you can find it pretty much anywhere. You can find it on archive.org, for example. So I've downloaded it. It's a RAR file in this case, so I can use 7-zip to extract it. And then, as usual, I can take that folder. It's always worth reading the README. But as usual, you just copy the folder into PSP game. We should be able also to clean up that folder to remove all the system install stuff. But yeah, I'm renaming it to remove the version information so that it's shorter name, and I'm also dropping a Pokemon game in there, so I'm just dropping the GBA file into the same folder as the emulator. I will also need some system files that you can also find on archive.org, and copying them here. So that's basically the BIOS for the Game Boy Advance. So GBA_BIOS.bin, and I can copy that into the same directory, and then I can go to my PSP, launch GPSP, and there are a number of options, but I can go load a new game. So one thing to know is that the buttons are kind of reversed as compared with the usual PSP convention, because this is Nintendo. The buttons are reversed on Nintendo consoles. So A is top right and B is bottom. So yeah, same thing here in this emulator. If you don't know that you need to use circle to select something instead of X, you're going to be lost for a few seconds. But other than that, and you can reconfigure it actually. You can go into the options and reconfigure it. That's not a problem. But yeah, here it is. Pokemon running on a Sony PlayStation Portable console. Love it. And this is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it.